Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at this position, which comes from a game Andrew Hong against Andrew Tang. I mean, both are quite promising young players in the United States. So I was spectating this game, and they were under some major time pressure, but who wasn't playing, was not feeling any of the pressure, was able to calmly calculate. And I think I kind of figured out this position, especially after we discussed it after the game. But I originally didn't agree with the move that was played in the game, which was G4. I think it also wins. My analysis was H5 though, and there's a reason why H5 and not G4. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Now, Black has two moves, C4, which I thought was the best move in the game, and the move A3. A3 is the critical variation. The idea is that on the move B3, King C3, King D3, King B2, King D3 takes King C2. It looks like White is winning, because he just boxes out the king and then the pawns just promote on the king side. But the problem is that Black can play for some stalemate tricks with this move King A1. Now Black's plan is to make the move A2, make the move C4, give up the C pawn, make it so that his G pawn either is taken or doesn't have any more moves, and that position would be stalemate. But that's why I originally calculated this position, and I couldn't find a concrete win. But then that's when I noticed this move, G3. G4 actually is winning quite simply also, but there was one detail that I just blundered in my calculations. But I wanted just to show this because this is very pretty. And on the move A2, H6. And the point is that on the move G8, there's this move G4, and this position is mutual Zugzwang. The reason why is because if it were White to move, I mean, White cannot move any of his pawns because they'll get captured. So he would need to make the move King C1. And then the C1 square is important because Black could use it as because the king on C1 can get checked when Black promotes. So, and for example, in the variation C4, pawn takes C4, H5, G5, H4, G6, H3, G7, H2. If the king were on C1, then after White queens, the queen would come with a check, and probably Black's even winning there. Could be, but the problem is that now Queen G7 is checkmate because it's White's move. So that's why that position is mutual Zugzwang. That's why also I was thinking that the move H5 was much stronger than the move G4 in the original position, because the pawn on G4 kind of commits. It doesn't need to use this waiting move. So it doesn't have the waiting move. So that's that. I mean, King A2 I also analyzed. Sorry. G3. Yeah, King A2 was the move that I also analyzed, but I realized that now this variation is winning. Actually, and especially when we were analyzing the game afterwards, then this is what we saw. White is just in time to win. It's a nice line, but that's why that's also kind of the reason why G4 also works, because on the move A2, G6, I think this is how the game went. King C1 is a nice Zugzwang move, and on the move C4, BC, pawn takes H5, G6, H4, G7, H3, Queen H2, but now Queen G7's mate. And it was actually strange that I missed this line, because another variation, which I did calculate correctly, was very similar to this. But this move G3 is just very nice. I just wanted to share this. Also, this is one of those types of positions where you have to play out. It's very difficult to calculate in the the position, in the original position that I showed. To the end, it's very difficult to do that. But here, it's possible now. It's especially under time pressure. Now, g4 is just also a victim of this move c4, which I calculated, but then white plays this move b4, not takes, because then the pawn gets eliminated and black is closer to a stalemating plan. And white mates like this. So that was the variation with this move, a3, but now c4. And during the game, I thought that this was the best defense. I was quite surprised that he didn't play this. The point is now black is threatening to move a3, and then the c pawn will go down the board. So, I mean, white has no time to take the g7 pawn and promote, so he must make the move a3 to play against that. And now king d3. And my original intention of playing this, and the way how you know, the two guys that were playing, and what I thought was that g4 was forced, king c2, g5, takes on b2. And the reason why black actually rejected this move c4 was because in this variation, black evaluated this position as winning for white. I mean, he was under time pressure, but actually, if you take a second look, and if you were to read Dvorsky's Endgame manual, which I'm sure he did, he's read to 2500. This position is actually a draw because black cannot white cannot stop black from promoting. We get the notorious queen pawn position. White can take the pawn on a4, but the problem now is the white king is placed very poorly. So now he cannot escape from all the checks because the white queen's kind of tied down to protecting the a4 pawn. I mean, it's not easy to play this endgame in time pressure, but at least the draw is in reach. You give one bad check, you can lose. I mean, it has happened to me before in queen endgames. That drawn queen endgame, I've given a bad check and I lost the game immediately. So, but the other thing is that c3 is actually an even better move because I didn't even calculate this. I only realized it after the game, after I went home and put this position on the board and I thought about it. It's that this position is also an easy draw because although white's up with the pawn, he cannot really defend the a3 pawn because queen f8 falls victim to queen f1. So the counterplay on the a3 pawn and the a pawn will guarantee a draw for black. Quite an easy draw, actually, much easier than the other one where you have to give very precise checks. But then, so that's why I thought that this position is a draw. But then when I was calculating this, I noticed this move, king e6, very strong move. King c2 and king d5. Now, I thought that when white can draw this with the move king takes b2, black can draw this with the move king takes b2 originally. That's why it was kind of strange that I calculated this correctly, but the other line not correctly, is that this move g4 is quite strong now. And on the move a3, king c2, king a1, white makes this move g5. And on the move g6, white can wait with this move king c1. I mean, when I said the line that I didn't calculate correctly was the one that happened in the game, actually, when white played the move g4. And I thought, and I didn't calculate the move g4 correctly. I calculated g3 correctly, but g4, that's the one that I meant. But this position is just this really nice waiting with king c1. The point being that, if he takes, then the pawn will go down the board. And it's very nice how we always keep moves for black. So the move a2, finally there's this move king c2. And, now white's pawn promotes. It's a very nice line. I mean, he can try this move g6, but there's nothing really. So that's what was winning. Then I thought about it, and black had this very interesting move, king b3. So now, when I was calculating this, I thought g4, c3 takes, and and then king takes a3, and I was quite shocked when I looked at this variation, because all of a sudden, now the other pawn goes down the board. But this is a little bit different, because now the king will escape from the checks, and this is actually a winning queen endgame, because white has the two pawns, and white's going to win the g7 pawn one way or another. Black has some very good tricks now. For example, in this position, he gives queen a1, gives queen f6. One way or another, the queen will block a check. Now, white will control the f6 square. Now king f5. And up in the move queen e4, queen e6. I mean, just giving you a sample variation, but these are the types of ideas. And we created a position like this where, you know, black cannot keep control of the f6 square anymore, so we cannot really give a check. And finally, the king will enter. And this position is just winning because the second that white takes the g7 pawn, the two pawns are going to win against the queen. And I mean, there always is going to be some sort of checking chances that white has against the black king, and you know, white will stop the black checks quite easily because of that. So that was my analysis on this very interesting position that occurred. Of course, it's very difficult to play this under time pressure, or at least calculate it to the end. Maybe the moves are quite natural, but you know, there are always like 2 or 3 natural moves, and with one mistake being played, it's not, you know, the evaluation of the position can change quite easily. And you know, both sides were pretty good. I mean, I think white's FIDE was probably 2,400, and black's FIDE was like 2,500. So yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to spectate games. You could always calculate variations. And I definitely did learn a lot from this position. Hope that you did too. So if you have any other positions that you want me to show on my channel, please leave in the comments. All right, thanks.